Let's be honest, going through a divorce is incredibly stressful, and the last thing you need is to worry about hidden costs or confusing numbers. One of the biggest question marks is usually the house. So how much does it actually cost to get a formal, professional appraisal in St. Petersburg? We're going to break that down for you right now. So let's just cut right to the chase, no fluff. I'm going to give you the number first, and then we'll dig into what's behind that cost and what it means for your specific situation. And there it is. For a pretty standard single-family home or a condo right here in St. Pete, you're most likely looking at a range of about $650 to $800. So the big question is, where in the world does that number come from? It's definitely not just pulled out of thin air.
That price range, it turns out, is actually tied to an official benchmark. It's the baseline that professionals all across the St. Pete area use to set their fees.
It's something called the VA fee schedule. Now, what is that? It's basically a public price list for appraisals done for VA home loans. And even though your situation is totally different, appraisers use this as a kind of industry-wide guidepost for what a standard appraisal should cost. It's the starting point. So take a look at the actual fee schedule with me. You can see it right there in black and white. A single-family home or an individual condo starts with a base fee of $650. And since St. Pete is right in Pinellas County, these are the standard rates that apply. This gives us our solid baseline. So you might be thinking, okay, if the official baseline is $650, why did we start with a range that goes all the way up to $800? Well, that's because a divorce appraisal, it isn't quite the same as a standard one. It serves a very, very different purpose. Think of it this way. Who is this report for? A standard appraisal is pretty straightforward. It's done for a bank or a lender. But a divorce appraisal? Whoa, that's a whole different ballgame. That report is being prepared for the legal system, for your attorneys, for mediators, and maybe even for a judge. That means it has to be way more detailed, totally defensible, and the appraiser might even have to show up and testify in court. That's a huge extra step. And one of the biggest complexities is this thing called retrospective value. It's fascinating, actually. This means the appraiser isn't just figuring out what your home is worth today, they have to figure out what it was worth on a specific date in the past, like the day you officially separated. They literally have to become a real estate time traveler, digging through historical data. And as you can imagine, that takes a lot more research and a whole other level of expertise. So let's put it all together. The main takeaway here is that there are several key factors that can push your quote from that baseline fee up to the higher end of the range, or sometimes even a little beyond it. I mean, it really all boils down to complexity, right? A simple condo is one thing. But what if your property has a separate guest house, or it's right on the water, or it has some really unique architecture? Or what if you absolutely need that retrospective value we just talked about? All of those things, plus the potential for court testimony or needing it done in a hurry, they all add layers of work. And more work, well, that drives up the cost. Okay, so let's put some numbers to this so you can really see what we're talking about. You can see how that VA base fee acts as a launchpad for a more realistic divorce appraisal range. And the most important thing on this chart? It's that little plus sign. That's where all those potential complexity factors live. This should give you a much clearer picture for your own budget. Okay, we've talked a lot about the what and the why of the cost, but that's just information, right? The real question is, what do you do with it? How can you use this to prepare and just move forward with a little more confidence?
So, let's build your action plan. Think of this as your personal checklist to help you budget smart and hire the right person for this really, really important job. It's a pretty simple three-step process. First, just start with that $650 to $800 range as your mental baseline. Step 2, be real with yourself about your property. If it's complex or if you think court might be a possibility, you'll want to add a little buffer in your budget. And finally, number 3, when you get a quote, ask them to break it down. You want to know exactly what that final number includes. No surprises. And to get that crystal clear understanding, you need to ask some specific questions. You want to know if they have real, hands-on experience with divorce cases right here in Pinellas County. Ask about their timeline and how their fee is structured. And this one is a biggie. You absolutely have to ask about their fees for potential court appearances right at the start. Getting that answer early can save you from a massive headache down the road.
Look, I know it's easy to see this as just another expense and a really expensive process, but try to think of it as an investment. A credible, well-documented appraisal gives everyone a solid, defensible number to work from. It can actually reduce arguments and legal bills because it creates a foundation of fact that you can build a fair settlement on. You know, it's funny, we started this whole conversation with a simple question about cost, but what we're really talking about is finding clarity and fairness during a really tough time. And getting that one solid, reliable number might just be the most important first step you take toward closing one chapter of your life and starting the next one.